Hello everyone, I want to make a new series called Sales Stories. I will start from the beginning for those who didn't watch the first video. For context, at the time I was selling waste management equipment. It was around my second year of doing business-to-business sales. Anyway, I drove around 7 hours to get to this potential client, whom I found by cold calling, by the way. Of course, I didn't just drive 7 hours to see one client. I had other meetings scheduled in different cities on the way there, but it was still my hottest lead of that week. Before arriving, 200 meters from my destination, the car broke down. Yes, around 200 meters before I reached my potential client's company, I was stuck. I didn't know anybody there, so I called my client, told him what happened, and he came to help. He set me up with the mechanic, but the car couldn't be repaired on the spot, so I decided to call a towing company. Anyway, for them to arrive, it would also take around 7 hours. As it was already almost lunchtime, they would arrive late in the evening, so I scheduled for the next day. And now I had more than half a day to spare. My client was still with me, so we decided to have lunch. At lunch, we got to know each other better and started talking about business in the first part. A bit of what we do and a bit more of what he does. People like to be listened. Then we also started discussing personal stuff like hobbies, family, free time, and so on. We of course got into politics subjects, holidays, you name it. He was an open guy, and I like to consider myself an open guy as well. So we bonded really quick. After lunch, we went to see his company. He showed me around and talked about his business a lot. I listened, gave him my opinion when needed or when asked. He showed me where he wanted the new equipment, explained to me why he wanted to change, and asked specifically for a type of equipment. For context, he asked for a semi-automated equipment. We had what he needed, and I was happy that I could fulfill his wishes about the equipment. After leaving his company, we went to see the city. He showed me the city's attractions, but also the industrial parts of the city. The factories that still stand and the ones which were closed after the communism. Most of the industrial area was a ruin. Big old factories dead. It was just a sad sight. But anyway, after that we went to the Danube, a river in Europe which passes near the sea. There he showed me his boat, talked about fishing and how he likes to go out on the river and relax for a couple of days at a time. Later we had dinner and talked about more stuff. It was like we knew each other for a very long time. After dinner, he invited me to have a drink at his place and meet the wife and the kids, but I rejected him professionally. This is where I usually draw the line. See, what I was doing here, without me even realizing it very well at that time is, I was building the feeling, as I call it. The professional relationship. I was building trust, confidence and connection. As I explained it with more details in my first video, the feeling for me is the most important thing in sales. You can watch it in the description. By building this level of trust in your professional relationship, you can sell anything to that person as long as that person needs it, of course. But what I want to say is that things like price, delivery times, quality and other relevant stuff from your products will become less important if you achieve the feeling. Anyway, back to the story. I declined and went to my hotel because I still had a lot of work to do. The next day I went home and was all good. We kept in touch of course and were preparing for the new acquisition. 3 months later, when it was time for my client to finally buy the new equipment, guess what? He bought it from me. He called me and told me that even if my price is higher than the other offers he has, he will make the order from me. One thing I want to mention is that he had other offers from other companies long before I even met him. So I made a sell. I was happy. But I did some mistakes. After 2-3 months of using the equipment, my client was not satisfied. Remember when I told you that I was happy that I can give him what he is asking for? The semi-automatic equipment? Well, it wasn't suited for what he needed. He wanted that, but he needed something else. The equipment that I sold him didn't have any problem, but it wasn't producing the results he wanted. The results he wanted could only be produced by an automatic machine. He didn't want to listen to reason and started a small legal fight with our company. But he lost because we were covered, as in we sold him exactly what he asked for. Later, he understood that too. But the funny thing here is, during the fight with my company, he wasn't mad at me. He wasn't upset with me. He was jokey and being the same person with me. All thanks to the feeling. Anyway, my mistake was that I didn't gather enough information. I didn't have the guts to tell him what he wishes is not suitable for him and his business, that he needs to raise the budget and buy an automatic machine. I didn't have much experience at the time, but in the whole process, I had a feeling that something is not good, that I don't have all my information that I needed and I'm just going with the demand. I learned my lesson. Don't do the same mistakes as I did. Tell your potential client that what he wishes might be different from what he needs, even if it's the harsh truth, even with the risk of losing the deal. It's better to lose the deal and gain the trust, because the trust will make them buy from you whenever they need something that you are selling. I broke my client's trust and he didn't buy from me anymore, even though we were still and are still in good terms. In the end, the feeling, as I call it, it's one of the most important things in sales, but cannot win alone. You need to keep learning, gain experience, and use only the useful information you gain in the process. Learn from your mistakes, and now, with this series called Sales Stories that I will upload, you can learn from my mistakes as well. Thank you for tuning in. See you in the next one.